Hey there, witches and woo-woo people. Sorry it's been a while. I've been taking some much needed time away from most aspects of social media and just taking a back seat from the internet, spending time with my loved ones, spending time at my altar, spending time just catching up on my reading. I have been serving clients, but I just haven't been as active online for a few weeks. But I hope that you've all been well in my absence, and it's really lovely to be back on YouTube. I'm going to slowly start breaking myself back into the whole video making sitch now, so I kind of miss it. I've almost forgotten how to use my editing software, so it's time for me to get back to what I do best, what I enjoy doing most, and that is making videos. So I'm going to start by giving you guys a rundown of some of the Samhain readings that I have designed for this year for my clients, that I've been doing for my clients. You do still have a few days left to purchase any one of these three readings that I'm going to show you, but of course you can feel free to take the spread positions and use them on yourself. Do them on Samhain Eve, do them on Samhain, do them whenever you feel, whenever the fancy takes you. These are just ones that I have designed for 2016 that I felt were really pertinent, that I felt were really speaking to me and what I wanted to bring to Samhain in terms of energies and focus points. So without further ado, the first thing I'm going to talk you through is a spread called the Fright Night spread. Now I'm going to be honest, although I have reviewed and revised this for 2016, the Fright Night spread is old. It's a spread that I came up for myself many moons ago, and it's been through a number of incarnations, and I'm really happy with how it's going at the moment. So before I talk you through the spread positions for Fright Night, I just want to let you know what I'm doing here, because I know there will probably be questions if I don't explain. So this is basically just it's a display spread really, okay? And I'm not going to turn the cards over, because I know last time I had the cards turned over when I explained a spread layout, and quite a few people got confused and were saying, well, what's the meaning of the cards that you've got there in the spread? And that's not the point of the exercise. The point of the exercise is simply to explain the spread positions to you. You will also find them down below in the down bar. I am not giving a reading to anybody. This is just a display spread so that you can see how I like to lay things out, okay? And I've just prettified things. So this is actually my tarot space where I read for clients, and I've got some crystals around. So I've got over here a lot of black tourmaline, obsidian, snowflake obsidian and jet. And then over here I've got amethyst, green quartz, citrine and spirit quartz, white spirit quartz. So it's just really to make it look pretty, so you've got something to look at and you get an idea of how to lay the cards out. And these are the backs of the Wild Unknown Tarot, in case anybody's wondering, because I'm sure that question might pop up. So without further ado, let me talk you through this 5-card spread that I've designed called the Fright Night spread. This spread is all about cutting a doorway into the scary part of the psyche. We're going for the things that freak us out. We're going for the things that we really are afraid to confront. We're feeling a little bit of trepidation about looking at, and we're going to kind of dance in that area of things, okay? So the first spread position for the Fright Night spread, which is up here in the top left corner, is the key fears that are truly holding you back in life. So this first card is just diving right in with showing you what it is that you're really afraid of. Now, for some of you, you may turn this card over and immediately know that yes, those are some of your greatest fears. That is very obvious and it's on the surface. But other people may find when they turn this card over that the fears that are represented are fears that are very much part of the shadow, or very unconscious fears that you were not really aware of. And you might need to spend some time sitting and journaling with this card to kind of put those pieces together. Now let's look at the second spread position for the Fright Night spread, and this one's got a bit of a mouthful for the title because it's kind of 2 questions in one. So the first question is, who is the person you're afraid to be? And the second question, which is kind of an alternative question, is what are you scared to embrace in your own nature? So you can choose either one of those questions for this particular spread position. I like to turn the card over and just see how the card is speaking to me for a particular client. For some clients, there will be very much an archetype present on the card, and that will show me who the client is afraid of becoming, who it is that they're scared of evolving into, if you like. But sometimes it can just be a particular trait inside a person that the card is zooming in on, and it will be that trait that the client is kind of scared to take on and embrace within themselves. Let's look now at position number 3 for the Fright Night spread. Position number 3 is which ghosts still rattle their chains in the basement of your unconscious. I feel like doing an evil laugh when I say that. But yeah, it's basically looking at your ghost. It's looking at what's still down there, what still haunts you from the past, which wounds are still open. So this third spread position is usually very powerful. The fourth spread position down here, the first one on the bottom row, is making your peace with the dark side. So with this, we really look at how you can make your peace with your shadowscape, either parts of it or it in its entirety. How can you make your peace with the fact that you're not perfect, that you're flawed, that you have fears, that you have parts of you that you don't understand that well, or that you wish would just go away? How can you take some kind of advice or insight from this particular card that will help you to confront the fact that you are a holistic being and that some parts of you are more shadowy and more hidden than others? The fifth and final spread position in the Fright Night reading is the Beware card. And the Beware card explains what you need to look out for at the moment. So this is something that might be lurking around a corner, either in your external situation or in your internal life. It could be a hidden piece of information that you're not quite yet seeing. It could be something that you need to be aware of in your own nature that does tend to come up and kind of ruin things for you. And maybe it's time for you to really kind of put that tendency into your conscious mind so that you can avoid it where possible. The Beware card is really a gentle warning card, or a gentle kind of warning post, if you like. It's a guiding force to help you to keep away from things that might slow you down or knock you off course. So that's the Fright Night spread. Hopefully that will be useful and helpful to anybody that does want to delve into these themes. And now let's take a look at spread number 2 for Samhain from me. So the next spread that I have for you is called Shake Hands with Samhain. That's the name of the spread. I'm really happy with this design. I'm so proud of it, and it's been very popular with clients. I've really loved seeing the results from this spread, so I would definitely recommend trying it out, playing around with it, putting your own positions in there, or indeed ordering one with me if you are watching this over the next few days. I'm putting this up on the 26th. I'll probably take the readings down on the 28th, I should imagine, so I've got time to get them all into everybody's inboxes before the 1st of November. The Shaking Hands with Samhain spread is basically just intended to tap into some of the key themes that Samhain offers to us, some of the recurring themes, some of the big energies and issues that we come back to time after time with Samhain. And every single one of the 6 cards taps into one of the energies that I feel is the most pertinent during Samhain. So we'll begin with position number 1 up here in the top left hand corner. And position number 1 is called Roots, Foundations, Core Truths and Stability. Remember, you will find all the spread positions for each of these 3 spreads that I'm offering you today in the down bar below for your convenience. So, Roots, Foundations, Core Truths and Stability. This is basically about what you know to be true right now, what you can rely upon, what feels stable and consistent in your life. What is it that seems to just keep returning and going through a kind of life-death life cycle where it's always there, you can always rely upon it. You know, at the moment at least, that it is consistent and stable for you. Card number 2 for this spread is Saying Goodbye to What Is Lost. And this is about moving on, closure, sorrow and acceptance, okay? So this is about really being able to say your goodbyes and have a funeral for what is no longer working, for what is no longer alive, for relationships that just didn't stand the test of time or ran their course, for opportunities that you lost, for disappointments that you need to kind of mourn. So this is a really potent spread position, saying goodbye to what is lost. And then we move on to spread position number 3 for Shake Hands with Samhain, which is the darker aspects of the self. And with this, we're focusing on flaws, mistakes, and making peace with the shadow. So much like the first spread that I showed you, where there was a card for learning how to make peace with the dark side, again, with the Shake Hands with Samhain spread, we are looking at making peace with the shadow. We're looking at getting to grips with the darker aspects of self, which is such a potent and pertinent theme for Samhain every year for so many of us. The 4th spread position for Shake Hands with Samhain is fears, anxieties, and the obstructive thoughts that hold you back. So with this one, we're looking at fears, we're looking at things that are freaking you out, things that are setting you back, things that are convincing you that you can't make a bold move in life. So you can really be either looking at this card as a confirmation of what you already know, or as a revealing of what it is that you don't know that you are afraid of. Then looking at the 5th spread position, this one is choosing your priorities and defining your goals. Now, what this spread position does is it taps you into the New Year aspect of Samhain. Samhain is Gaelic New Year, so many witches see Samhain as a time to really assess priorities, reassess goals, decide what's important for the coming year, particularly spiritually, looking at your spiritual aims, your intentions for spiritual study perhaps, or your commitment to spiritual groups or traditions. That kind of thing can be very popular, but of course you can just take it as more of a time to make resolutions, a time to make decisions about what's important. And then the sixth and final spread position in Shake Hands with Samhain is greeting new energies and preparing to embrace the future. Again, we're tapping into that new year aspect of Samhain when we're thinking about the fact that we're wrapping things up and kind of doing a review of what's past, and then we're going to go on from that point and think about what's new, what we want to build, what we want to achieve, what we want to seek out. Okay, let's go through the third and final 6-card spread for Samhain. This one is called Hard Heart Halloween. And this was one that I invented. It's fresh out of the oven for 2016. I've been doing it for clients, and the results for this one have also been really interesting and have really caused me to think about some of the difficulties that I've gone through this year and how I can kind of process them, extract the lessons and put them to bed, you know. So it really is a very thought-provoking spread, this one. Hopefully it will be useful for those of you who need it. So the Hard Heart Halloween spread is basically for people who've had a bit of a tough 2016 with lots of challenges, disappointments or heartache. I designed it as a kind of way clearing tool for those who find themselves feeling a little bit fed up right now and really want to just bring in those new energies, see what you can learn from the shitstorm and then leave the shitstorm behind, you know. So that's what this spread is for. Position number 1 up here in the top left is how did you get here? Let's break it down. So this is really looking at the steps that you took, the things that unfolded, the situations that you got yourself in order to arrive at the point that you're at now. You know, how did you actually end up in this position where you are in the present moment? And that's really about looking back over the timeline and being as honest with yourself as you can about what you need to take responsibility for, about what may have been something you suffered at the hands of others, and ultimately what kinds of mindsets perhaps you actually ended up in to cause you to be in the present moment. So it's really just looking back over the year, thinking about what you did, what other people did, what unfolded, what, you know, how did things transpire. Position number 2 for the Hard Heart Halloween spread is the hidden gift, and that is what you can learn from this catastrophe. And here we're looking on the bright side. We are actually looking at what kinds of lessons you can extract, what you've learned about yourself and your strengths as a result of this disaster, this fuck up, this horrible time that you've had, these challenges that you've experienced, you know. So this is where stuff starts to get real, and we look at our pain and our difficulties and our setbacks, and we think about how we can use them to our supreme advantage, which I think is something that comes up for me a lot during Samhain. You know, I'm really taking the power back during Samhain. I'm looking at what's gone wrong and I'm thinking about how I can take that and use it and bring joy to it and make it my own. Position number 3 in the top right, this is what is the light at the end of the long dark tunnel. So this is where we look at where you want to be headed or where you could be headed, okay? So with this card, we're looking at either the possibilities for opportunities that you could take or avenues that you could go down, or you could be looking at what you want to specifically design as your future from this point on. So the light at the end of the tunnel is the future, but you may not necessarily want to look at it from a very predictive angle. For me personally, I prefer to look at cards that address the future as a way to empower my clients to design the future that they want. But you might do your own tarot reading practice differently, and that's absolutely fine, it's up to you. But this one is very much about focusing on what you want to build during the future or where you are headed in the future. Then the 4th spread position, the first on the bottom row here, is how can you begin to reach out and grasp life again. I focus on the short term for this particular spread position. I look at specific actions that can be taken to allow somebody to start to turn things around as soon as possible, okay? So really looking at how to begin to reach out and grasp life again is looking at pragmatic steps that you can take, exercises that you can put into being, mindsets that you might need to put into being, things that you can do to turn things around quickly. Position number 5 in the Hard Heart Halloween spread is healthy healing for the long term, and this is good habits to keep and bad ones to ditch. Basically, you want to make sure that you stay the course with the healing journey. You want to make sure that you don't go off track, you don't lose your momentum. You want to keep extracting the lessons, grieving what's lost, and moving on from this crappy time, right? So the 5th spread position, healthy healing for the long term, that's more about how you can make sure that you keep going. Now, some of you, when you turn over this card, may notice that there are suggestions for good things that you can do to keep the healing going. But for others of you, you might have a warning card there. There might be something that the card is specifically telling you to kind of stop doing if you want your healing to be successful. So it really depends on the individual that's doing the spread. For some of the clients that I've done this reading for, there has definitely been a warning card here telling the client to drop a certain mindset or deal with a certain scenario which they may have been avoiding. For other clients, it's definitely been more of a tips and tricks for healthy healing kind of card. So it really does depend, and it will change up depending on the individual. And then position 6 is the ultimate medicine for your hard heart. And that's really just the icing on the top of this cake, I think, is that 6th position. It's looking at what it is that you can really do to bring nurturing and nourishment to your heart. What is it that would really be the best thing for you right now? What is it that your heart is calling out for that maybe you're not realizing, and maybe you can give your heart a good, healthy, juicy dose of that stuff and just get everything moving on the right track and get the healing journey going properly. So these are my 3 suggestions for Samhain spreads, and as I mentioned, I'm still selling them on my shop, but only for perhaps another 48 hours. So if you want to get in on the goodness and get a reading from me, then you certainly can do. If you want to try these spreads out for yourself, you're more than welcome. If you want to share them on your blog, your website, or anywhere else, credit would be delicious. I would really appreciate that. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope that your Samhain celebrations and preparations are going swimmingly. I know mine are. So much love, doll faces. Blessed be.